machine. As we have said before, we are still in YouTube detention, and now we are on Facebook, at least for a couple of more weeks, and then we'll go back to YouTube and Facebook, and with all this amazing technology, we can do it all at the same time, so we can reach all the people all the time. So, first of all, thank you for tuning in this evening. I do appreciate that. And we'll try to give you some good conversation tonight that hopefully you'll appreciate it and tell your friends and do, spread the word as it relates to the Crime Talk community. Obviously, there's lots of things going on out there in the world these days. Even in the world of COVID-19, seems to be a lot of crime going on out there, or at least cases that we can talk about. So let me know what you would like to discuss this evening, kind of our open chat lines, so to speak, and we'll go from there. If that doesn't get things going as far as questions go, then we can certainly talk about. We have the Lori Vallows matter, we have the Letitia Strzok case, and then also the Ahmed Arbery case, which the video that came out today, which if you watched our video that we put up on YouTube about an hour ago, I'm completely offended by that video. So I'm not sure if people would like to play that. We have the video. I can kind of walk you through it. And we can go from there. I'm sorry, I was a little distracted. Somebody was sending me some messages here as it relates to something that I was trying to do. So anyway, let's go from there. We got people from Australia. We also had people from all around the United States already tuning in. That's fabulous. Georgia, Australia, I mean, cold Australia. Wow, I haven't been to Australia. That's my bucket list places to go. Pennsylvania, and it's amazing how small the world can become with the internet and the technology that goes on today. Not sure that's a good thing. You remind me of Sal Goodman. Not sure that's a good thing. Well, you never know. Anyway, so let's talk about the video that we covered this evening on the Ahmed Arbery case. And for those of you who don't know, if you haven't been watching, this is the case where Ahmed Arbery was, according to some reports, out jogging. Other people have him perhaps wandering around, casing homes, going into a home that was under construction. Video cameras show that there's someone that, if that's not him, looks very similar to Mr. Arbery, but he takes nothing. Needless to say, the McMichaels, father and son duo, go track him down. The younger McMichael gets out of the vehicle with his firearm, a shotgun specifically, and believes he's going to be making a citizen's arrest. Now, we've talked about this over the last week or so. The citizen's arrest, you have to actually witness a felony taking place before you can just go off and do that. You can't go around arresting people. And here's what a lot of people don't realize. When you start taking the law into your own hands, you take with it the liability that comes with it. You just don't get to go out there and act as a deputized police officer if you think, a crime's taking place, because guess what? If you're wrong, you're going to have some liability. All right? Why do you think police officers, yes, they can get sued, but they have a lot of protection. Why? Because we want them to have the protection of a police officer. So they're not literally walking on eggshells on everything, but we have to be able to say, hey, that at a certain point, if you do wrong, we have to punish you. And that's, for example, what we have 1983 cases where you can sue police officers, state agencies for a violation of someone's rights. And I see someone was, Crystal says, I'm from Georgia and just want to apologize for all our craziness lately. I promise some of us are normal. I totally agree with that. And for some of you who don't know, or, I used to live in South Carolina when I was stationed in the Marine Corps. We were down there in Beaufort, South Carolina. I love the South. And so in the video where we, see Mr. Arbery that we're talking about, I saw some comments earlier when we put the video up. Why is this guy just parking his car down here in the grassy area? Well, because it's the South, okay? Yeah, you have a railroad track coming along on the one side. If you look, it looks like there's trailers or homes off into the distance. It's the South. If it's cleared away, people go there. That doesn't particularly shock me at all that somebody would be in there. And this individual, seen there is not a reason to go up and, make contact. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, when the police officer makes contact with you and they say, oh, it's a welfare check. We want to make sure you're okay. And the guy's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just sitting down here enjoying my day off, practicing my rap music. Guess what? The basis for the stop, the contact is over. Anything after that is not a consensual contact at any further. And so, that's the issue. And that's why I got a little fired up tonight when we put out our edition of Crime Talk on YouTube, is because in that particular video, he's just minding his own business. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Minding your own business is not a crime. Now, Mr. Arbery in this particular case at one point is like, hey, what the F are you messing with me for? He's like, I'm just sitting here minding my own business. And, some people are like, well, he's talking back to the cop. Guess what? Cops don't get to arrest you and harass you and possibly tase you because you ask what the F is going on. We had a lot of cases out here for a while where people were saying, F the police. And guess what? They were charging the guy. It was particularly one particular individual, but his, band of merry men, so to speak, and they would stand outside, F the police. Cops would come up, F the police. Guess what? You may not like it. It's disgusting. I wouldn't encourage such behavior because you could get a billy club to the side of the head. But guess what? Then you probably have a 1983 suit, but it is a protected speech, okay? You police officers, if being told to F off is, going to offend you, you need to go get a new job. All right. You need thicker skin to do that. Hell, I've been called, worse, walking through the courthouse, in the mornings when, you see, a family member or something when they're, so Cherie Miller, I was just looking at her comments. That is so shocking, that video. I feel sick. And the fact that, claimed he had something in his pocket. The cop couldn't remember giving his wallet back, pulls a taser. Yeah. Can we have our trusty all-around producer, cameraman, editor. Can we pull up the video and let's just play it real quick? And maybe I'll stop it and walk through it because it's really, I think this is like basic 101. They should play this for brand new police officers of what not to do, as well as, district attorneys and public defenders as well. This is the kind of thing where, he checks on him. The guy's like, yeah, I'm cool. It's my day off, man. The cop should say, hey, great, have a great day. Just concerned. Sometimes we have a lot of trouble down here, but nothing going on. You leave, but see how it escalates. We get that pulled up? We can do that now. Here we go. We'll see if this works. Technology. Okay. Is it rolling? Okay.
What you doing out here, man?
So we got the police officer here rolling up.
What's up?
Oh, it paused. Okay, what's going on?
You off work today?
Nothing, man. I'm just sitting in my car.
Gotcha.
Doing it. Not against the law. Regardless of how you wear your pants, your dress. Look, now he's coming back. He's complying. He's giving the officer his license. he's going to run him for any wants and warrants in this particular case. That's right. That's legitimate. He's cooperating. Frankly, at that point, when the officer gives him his license, and the guy's like, what are you doing? I got nothing on me. Why? Why do you have to search me? I have no wants and warrants. Can I have my license back and go? That's what should be taking place right here. Now, I get it, Mr. Arbery. If I was there, I'd be like, dude, hold on. But imagine the frustration if that crap happens to you all the time for doing nothing illegal, right? They're not saying he's trespassing. They're doing anything. Now they're saying, oh, we need to search you. I'm not searching you. I'm checking you for weapons. Okay. What reasonable suspicion do you have that I am armed? None. And he's saying, leave me alone. Then guess what? Here comes this other cop. This guy, literally, if I'm not under arrest, I should be able to leave right now. And this cop, such an idiot, apparently he can't even put his taser correctly together, because when he starts to try to tase him, it doesn't work. And Mr. Arbery would have got tased, but for the fact that the taser didn't work. Now he's sitting there on his knees. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Is he under arrest at this point? Right? He's not in handcuffs. I get that, man. But, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to be in handcuffs to be under arrest. He is not free to go. He cannot get up and walk away. He is under arrest. What crime has he committed in this scenario? Nothing. He cooperated. He told the police officer, I was sitting down here, minding my own business, practicing rapping. It'd be no different if you just needed to go and relax and listen to some music. And then they're talking about here, the officer's like, oh, he got rowdy, did he? Oh, he got, Really? Come on. I don't know this guy from Adam, but clearly he didn't see it. And if he watched this video, this is just...
He was very agitated just for me being out here talking to him.
Absolutely appalling to me, okay? And you think it's just this guy? No. This kind of crap happens every day. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. If a police officer pulls you over and they say, you know what? There's no license plates on the car, but the car has tinted windows. And the police officer walks up to the police car and says, hey, license, registration? Oh, I didn't see a license plate tag. I got a little suspicious. But now that I see that your temporary tag is in the window and everything's in order, have a nice day. The police officer that comes back up and says, well, do you mind if I search your car for you? Do you mind if I search your car? The answer should be absolutely not. If you think you're going to search my car, I hope you have a warrant or you can tell me what the probable cause is. It's the same thing as it relates to this video, this body cam video that shows up with Mr. Arbery. He's minding his own business. Once it checked out that he has no wants or warrants, nobody's saying he's trespassing. Nobody says you can't drive up there. Apparently it's okay for the police to drive up there as well. Let them go. That's nothing but harassment. That's all that was. And, these police officers should go back to police officer 101 training. Not everybody. And they treat everybody as though they are a criminal. And like I said in the video that we put up on YouTube today, if you go to CrimeTalk at YouTube, you'll see the video and you'll see me go off because I am upset because this crap happens all the time, okay? I've been a criminal defense attorney for 25 years. And for the majority of that time, I have heard of stories like this. And people would say, oh, you're crazy. That couldn't happen. Well, here's Exhibit A. It happens all the time. It's on body cams. Body cams were the best thing that has ever happened for law enforcement, is the best thing that ever happened for the community. It simply is there to protect the people. And literally, if any judge, when they searched the vehicle, which they ultimately did in this situation, they found nothing. No weapons, no drugs, nothing other than a man sitting in his car, practicing rap music. Okay, and I don't know Mr. Arbery from Adam. I don't care. You swap in anybody else's face, name on that, and if they did that to you, if they did that to your kid, if they did that to your best friend, you'd be pissed. Okay, and there's a lot of people drawing lines on this Arbery case, and it's bizarre to me. Okay, if you think the guy was a criminal, cool, gotcha. Then guess what? Call the police. You follow the guy, but you don't track him down in the car. And when you get out of the car, the younger Mr. McMichaels, that was his mistake, huge mistake on his part. And I think that he's lost the protection of self-defense in that situation, as we talked about the law in videos that we did last week as it related to initial aggressor. Okay, you can't go start a fight and then if somebody, kicks your ass, then you retaliate again and then say, well, I was defending myself. Well, what do you mean you were defending yourself? You started the fight. You can't have it both ways. So it's just very, very frustrating to me. Julie Crandall in the comment section, I think a large portion of people in the U.S. are unaware that this happens all the time. Yep, that is, and even though he's not driving, this is what they refer to as driving while black, okay? People think, oh, it doesn't happen. Driving while Hispanic, okay? Happens all the time. And they used to do, the police departments used to pull people over all the time. They used to pull it over for if people had little air fresheners hanging from their window, their mirror, and they would say that was a obstructing their view. Well, guess what? I conducted an experiment many, many years ago because all my clients say, man, I had something hanging from my mirror. I had my graduation tassel. Cops are pulling me over saying it's obstructing my vision. Okay, and finally, the courts started suppressing the stops. The district attorneys stopped enforcing it because if you looked at it, it wasn't little white suburban kid, driving with his graduation tassel on his mirror. It was the young Hispanic kid, the young black kid getting pulled over, and it was a reason for them to harass and maybe search their car and put them in cuffs and put them on the curb and embarrass them. And like I said, people think this kind of stuff doesn't happen all the time. It does. I'm telling you, as a defense attorney, I've dealt with this crap for years, and at least now we can prove that it happens. I mean, I've got cases where they ask the guy to get out of the car. He's like, "What am I getting out of the car for?" "Well, I just want to talk to you in the back." Because unless I'm under arrest, I need to move. And they literally say, "Well, if you don't get out of here, we're going to arrest you for something. We'll figure it out." And the police and the district attorneys just act like that's completely okay. And it is unbelievable to me, and I don't want to get too, going here when it relates to the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. But if you allow, this kind of crap to go on, there's a saying, if you allow the government to railroad guilty people, guess what? They will start doing it to innocent people as well. And that's the fact. And if we don't defend as criminal defense attorneys down there on the trenches every day, defending people's constitutional rights, people that some people don't like, maybe they think, they're uneducated or they're unsophisticated or they're poor, they don't deserve it. That's what criminal defense attorneys do on a daily basis, protecting the rights for everyone. And like I said, this Arbery thing is crazy. But jumping back, so years ago, so I had all these clients that were getting pulled over, for cracked windshields, and they had something from their car window. So what did I do? I started driving around, and I put multiple little green tree air fresheners on my car. And I even at one point had a cracked windshield. And I thought to myself, I'm going to go and I'm going to see how long I can go without getting pulled over for a cracked windshield. Guess how many times I got pulled over for having little things dangling from my mirror or having a cracked windshield, which was the basis for thousands of stops every year in Denver. How many times did they stop me? That's right. 0. 0, 0, 0. And the reason why I think that happened was, well, maybe it was because, I was a, guy driving around in a Jaguar. Maybe that's why they want to pull me over, because they didn't figure, oh, maybe this guy may actually know something about one's constitutional rights. Or if the cops did screw up, they knew that we were going to have the resources to go after them and go after them hard. Whereas if people are poor and they don't have the resources to, basically go up against City Hall, it's very, very difficult. So it's just frustrating. And, I know a lot of people, I know people that just literally think, oh, this kind of stuff doesn't happen. And it's like, and it's, like, what bubble are you living in? Take the bubble wrap off, come out of the bubble. This crap happens all the time. Now, and don't get me wrong, police officers, some of my close friends have been police officers over the years. It's a tough job. It's a difficult job. But the good ones don't take it personal. They go out there, they do their job, and they want to come home at the end of the day. They're not out there to harass people. And guess what? I've asked friends that are police officers, like, you guys really go around, why do you go around harassing people? And and they'll tell you, when the younger cops got to go out and, do their thing, they're walking around, they got their gloves on, like, really, you put your gloves on because if you get in a fight, you don't want to have evidence that if you punch somebody, that your knuckles are sore or something along those lines. It's the younger guys that are out there, doing it. I saw a video the other day where a guy actually, it was a looting case, and they got out, and the guy was beaten to a pulp, and it was the classic thing. It used to happen all the time. You have clients like, man, they jumped me and they beat me and they basically kicked the shit out of me when I ran, and because there was no video. Who's going to take the word of the guy that's all beat up? He's just a criminal. And now we get it. We've seen it over the years where the video proves it, and people are like, oh my gosh, this was an isolated incident. It happens all the time. Like I said, I love police officers. Police officers have made me a very good living over the years. I've just always said the problem with the police and the police unions are, if there's a bad one, there's that one rotten apple in the barrel, instead of kicking him out, they say, well, we got to keep that bad one here because, if we let him go, then they're going to, what could be me next? So they just stick behind the bad apples, forever. Attorneys are like, oh, there's a bad apple, let's get him out of here. It's one less, competitor that we have to deal with. And you would think you'd want, the professionals would want the good ones there, and they'd want to get rid of the bad ones for sure. So, let's see here. Let's see. In Australia, we'd be happily to do what's asked, and it would be very casual. In the U.S., I'd be doing everything I was asked, and very obvious that I'm complying. Well, I understand that, Cherie, but guess what? This is America. Police just can't come up and ask you for your ID. This is not some kind of thing where you walk up and say, show me your papers. Where are you going? None of your damn business. That's what, okay? And so, people act like, why would you, if you had something to hide, why wouldn't you give the search of your car? Or why wouldn't you let them search your house? Well, guess what? Because it's my car. It's my house. And I have a constitutional right to be secure in my places and my papers from unreasonable searches and seizures. And the unreasonableness part is always at issue. The government will try to get around everything. Everything is reasonable. Well, Your Honor, it's reasonable under the circumstances. We didn't have time to go get a warrant. Well, did you think the evidence was going to spoil? Did you think it was going to be destroyed in some way? Well, no. We just didn't think we had the time to do that. That's what the police or the prosecutors argue in those kinds of situations. So it's simply the kind of thing where I don't buy that argument. Well, if you had nothing to hide, why wouldn't you allow to be searched? Well, it's the same kind of thing. If somebody walks up to you and says, take off your clothes, we think you're hiding something on you. You'd say, go to hell, pound sand. It's the same thing with the government. We want to search your place. We're not sure what we're looking for, but we'll know when we find it. No, pound sand, go to hell. So, sorry, this video just got me a little fired up, and I just, it really just irritates me that some people think that there's no problem with that when a guy's sitting there not bothering anybody. Anyway, let's see here. Let's see. All right, take a deep breath. Let me take a sip of my iced tea, no Red Bull this time of night, from my Crime Talk mug. That's right. See, don't you love this Crime Talk mug? That's right. You could have one too. You could order one on Patreon if you wanted to. Teespring. Oh, did I say Patreon? I meant Teespring. If you went to Teespring. Sorry about that.
But you can go to the Patreon too.
But you can also go to the Patreon too, which we'll be doing right as we're done with this. If you're a Patreon member, you'll get a secret link, and we can continue the conversation and basically talk about whatever you would like to do. So let's see here. My youngest was accused of throwing a pencil and hit someone. The police was called, take my son. 2 more cops tried to goad my son admitting that he did it. They never called me. Yeah, this is the kind of thing where literally that kind of things happen. I swear, true story. That just like Victoria mentioned here, where her son was accused and the cops tried to convince him. I'm literally doing a trial in a courthouse, and I get this weird call from an investigator that's saying that my son is being accused of driving his Jeep around the football field because it had rained. I'm like, well, when do you think that happened, officer? Because he just got home about 11:30 last night with his mother from a golf tournament out of state. So I find that highly unlikely. He goes, well, your son, drives a Jeep and there's mud on his tires. And so I'm trying to think, oh my gosh, I'm calling my investigator. I'm like, go down there, take pictures, don't let anybody talk, figure out what the hell's going on, because I know my son was literally went from the airport to bed and went straight to school, and nobody's going to, drive around the field early in the morning. It was something done, obviously, in the middle of the night. My son didn't do it. Ultimately, they turn out, there's some video, they figured out it's not my son, but they accused him of that. And but for the fact that his dad just happened to be a criminal defense attorney, was able to, marshal people at his office during the breaks during his trial, call an investigator to go look into it. Most kids could have been screwed under those types of circumstances. And, they take your kid in there and, beat him against, not beat him, but you know what I'm saying? They pressure him into, you did it, And even the principal's like, yeah, I don't think my son could have done it. He's like, Mr. Golf captain, student government. Like, it just doesn't really seem to make sense. And, don't get me wrong, that can happen to anybody. But it just didn't fit the bill at all. So let's take a look at these. Some of these questions go by really fast. Victoria, do parents lose parental rights when their kids go to public schools? No, but they have less rights when children go to school. I'm trying to think of the fancy Latin term for it, but los parentis sequitur or something like that. So basically, when your kids go to school, the school kind of takes over as the parent. And so that's why, sometimes schools can discipline children. They can search the lockers, things like that. They have no expectation of privacy in somebody else's property. Now, you have to look at the laws in your own state. Some states won't allow a child to be subject to a witness or a witness interrogation if they are the suspect of that particular matter. Other children, if they're just a witness, they can be talked to. But sometimes, how do you know exactly what they are? The biggest thing you should do is simply tell your children, if they ever question you something that they think you've done, is to, hey, I want my parents, I want my mom, I want my dad. And they'll usually honor that, from there. And the first, Cherie. Well, good, Cherie. I'm glad that I was able to be the first person who said your name correctly the first time, because that's quite an accomplishment, because I've been known to butcher the pronunciation of names quite easily. So, yeah. Let's see. Could you talk about the Barry Morphew interview? So Barry Morphew is the husband of his wife, Mrs. Morphew, actually. And why is her name escaping me? Suzanne Morphew. And she's gone missing since, last Monday now. No one's been able to find her. She went on Mother's Day for a bike ride. Her husband didn't say anything. Apparently, he was out of town in Denver on Mother's Day. Her last social media contact was the day before, saying that she wished her kid. So, it's the kind of thing, is there foul play? I don't know. There's nothing so far as to indicate somebody's interview. How do you say they're suspicious or they're not suspicious? They're acting as an appropriate person would when their family goes missing. We talked about the case down in Houston. Stephanie, why are the names escaping me this evening? Suzanne. No, but the one in Houston. Heidi Broussard case, where the husband, Shane, was out there talking. Everyone's like, he's guilty. He did it. And it turned out he had absolutely nothing to do with it. And I was the guy that said, hey, I think we need to wait, give him the presumption of innocence. We can't really say. And guess what? He did absolutely nothing wrong whatsoever. It's kind of crazy. Let's see. Ooh, am I going to pronounce this correctly? Can I have a birthday shout out? Thanks. All right. Is it Eliska Gray? Happy birthday to you. Thanks for watching. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. Do they have anything to say to Lori about her treatment of him? I don't know. The police didn't really go into the video with Lori Vallow and her previous husband, Chad, or Charles. And so there wasn't that much. Basically, the police were a little surprised that he was more concerned about his bank accounts than he was his wife's condition, where apparently he thought she was delusional, where she thought she was God. Yes, is this actually live now, Kristen Frochier? Yes, it is. Okay, Joyce Lynn, yes. Okay, birthday, Kristen, congratulations. Okay, are they only going on the neighbor's word that she went for a ride that day? Sounds strange. They should know. Or should be watching that closely. I wouldn't know my neighbors didn't come back or not. This is just a weird. I wouldn't say weird. It's just I wouldn't say unusual, because people just don't know. I mean, how do you know someone just didn't have enough one day and say, you know what, I'm walking away from it. I'm giving it all up, and rides their bike off into the sunset. And, who knows, maybe they had a stash of cash in a car or some way to get around, or maybe something bad happened to them. We'll never, maybe we'll know someday, but you just don't know at this point what's going on. Let me just see if I can pull something up here. Yeah. So, I don't know. There's so I could try to pull up that interview and see what let's see here. Okay. All right. So that is, let me just jump back here. Sorry, I was double checking something here. Sorry. All right. Thank you for holding on. Yeah, I mean, sure. I thought that Charles is very calm, concise when talking to the police. It's weird that they pick out that he was focusing more on money. I thought he was being very clear and thought she had lost her mind. Well, it just depends sometimes. I mean, kind of like the video that we talked about a little bit earlier in the show this evening. If the police officers made their mind up, if they think they're going to go one particular way or another, then they've made their call. So what do you do? It's people all have their particular biases. They start, their day off, their judgments, predispositions. So yeah, it just depends on how we can do that. So let's see here. Susan Barry, right? Barry Morphew. So let's take a look at this. All right. So let's talk about this. This is the case of Susan Morphew. Her husband has obviously expressed concern about his wife. He apparently is an EMT, and he, I believe there's no indication, no one has said otherwise, that he was not in Denver. Now, I'm not married, but I know that usually Mother's Day is kind of a big deal, and you better have a real good reason to be out of town on Mother's Day. So you just never know. So we have sound on this if this goes through. All right, let me see if we can do this here.
Well, Suzanne, if anyone is out there.
Okay, so here's the tip line. This is the Morphew family put out their own video.
We'll do whatever it takes to bring you back. We love you. We miss you. Your girls need you. No questions asked. However much they want, I will do whatever it takes to get you back. Honey, I love you. I want you back so bad.
So, I mean, that's the video. I mean, what can you take from that? I mean, there's nothing to indicate. There's no evidence. The police haven't said that he is the prime suspect in the case. Obviously, I think everybody, unless that's family, is a suspect. So is everyone that lives in Salida is a potential suspect if they saw her. You just do not know. So, did you pull that down, Kyle?
Yeah, it's just,
Okay. So one of the things that that we talk about, we talk about that is, some people are saying his body language looks deceitful. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we all have dealt with people where we didn't get a warm, fuzzy feeling because of their body language. But we also, we don't know that person. If you don't know that person over the years, like you maybe knew your kids, your spouse, significant other, to say in a brief video that to say that you are believe that they are, being disingenuous because of their body language. I mean, how do you necessarily prove that? I can't prove that. You just never really know. And so that's where you get into speculation versus actual facts. And remember, we don't charge people based on speculation. We charge people on facts, things that we can actually prove. All right. It's just something that, you have to, sometimes you have to wait. Your gut may be telling you something, but you just can't prove it. But guess what? You have to have proof before you can actually accuse somebody or something. All right. I mean, we could do this, for example. So we have a sponsor that's of background searches. A couple of days ago, they said it was going to be a free thing. It didn't quite work out that way. However, most people don't have the resources to go out and hire a private investigator to do, their searches. One thing, let's take, for example, this Barry Morphew, Morphew. We don't know anything about him. Can we pull this up, Kyle? Let's just see what happens if we try to do a quick background search on him and see what comes up. Now, it's my understanding that we've negotiated a thing for $4.95. You get unlimited use and search while you sign up for, I think, that first week. Now, I'm not telling anybody they have to go do it, but here we go. Oh, we got a Barry Morphew. Shows Salida, Colorado. Sounds relevant to me, right? These are the types of things where these searches pull up all kinds of information. I mean, these types of reports, these are the type of things where even a few years ago would cost hundreds of dollars to have a private investigator run these kind of public searches. And the fact that it can, basically now be done on the internet in a matter of seconds, even for a nominal fee, is so worth it. We run these all the time, and we're getting a little bit away from using the investigators to do these searches just to find out what the heck is going on. And obviously there's a disclaimer saying, we're doing our best to do this based upon public records. And you have to, there's a fee. But look, you'll get arrest, criminal records, misdemeanors, felonies, whether somebody's a sex offender, warrants, police records, court record search, evictions, foreclosures, social media records. And so whether you are, let's say, somebody going to rent a property to somebody, just getting the weird fuzzy feeling that the neighbor across the street maybe just is not right, or you want to, be a investigator. Lots of states you can be investigator, and with the resources of the internet, everybody can be an investigator. So those are everything that you get for this. And, these people are helping CrimeTalk expand so that we can bring, more content, better content with you, and you're getting a getting a better, you get this content literally at your fingertips, and it's nominal, and you can stop anytime you want. So just something to think about. Let's see. Somebody hates closed captioning. Let's see here. All right. You got to love the comment section. Joyce, my instinct is telling me the husband knows something. That's the kind of thing where, like I said, it just depends. It just depends. Ever need a defense attorney? Would you represent yourself? No. Listen, I tell everybody, I don't care whether you're charged with the most serious offense and you absolutely did it, or you're wrongfully accused of something. Get yourself an attorney. It's should be the easiest money, the best money that you ever spent. Just having the peace of mind, knowing that what you did, by having somebody look at it, even if all your goal is, hey, I just want to plead guilty. I made a mistake. I got that speeding ticket. I got a DUI. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done something. and you just want to accept responsibility, you still need to, have an attorney look at it. Make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. It's worth the money. These days, kind of everybody thinks, well, I ran a Google search, I know the law. There's so many nuances of the law. I pulled the law books out, the statutes out every day to see what it says. And I've been doing this for 25 years. And even though you think you know what it says because of the plain language of the statute, guess what? The courts oftentimes will interpret that a completely different way. So you just need to, if you ever get in trouble, hire an attorney. I always tell people, I don't care if you hire me or somebody else, but get yourself an attorney. Just like the kind of situation, if I need to have plumbing done or electrician work done at my house, I would absolutely hire a professional to do it. Could I muddle my way through it? Probably. Would it take longer than it probably should? Yes, if I was going to do it myself. So hire an attorney. Save yourself a lot of time. You're paying those hourly fees, not just for their law degree, but you're paying those hourly fees for their experience to say, you know what? I've seen this situation 1,000 times. And of that 1,000 times, I'm about 95% sure this way is going to turn out exactly the same or completely different based upon this little nuance in the case. That is what you are actually paying for. Yes, there's a saying, don't they say the biggest, he who represents himself has a client for a fool. I think that was Mark Twain, but it's so, so true. One of the things that attorneys do is you're supposed to remove yourself from the battle. All right. When the emotions go up, the good decision making goes down. Okay. And so you're supposed to have an attorney there to say, I know you're upset, you're emotional. However, let's take a look at the facts. Let's talk about it and see what this really means. And somebody will give you some good sound judgment and not be in dealing with the emotion that comes with it. Okay, let's see here. Scott, what mistake do you think were made by the defense in the Patrick Frazee case? That's for those who don't recall, the Patrick Frazee case is where Patrick Frazee was convicted of killing the mother of his child, Kelsey Barrett, and then his girlfriend, Crystal Lee Kenny, apparently came from Idaho to help clean up and got a smoking good deal. I was frankly a little surprised that the Patrick Frazee defense did not put it all on the nurse, Crystal Lee Kenny. She gave all this information, here's the blood, here's the tooth, here we did this. Okay, we know it's you, you're there. But you could have easily gone with the theory that simply she was the one that in fact had done it. And that the easiest way to get somebody else in trouble was to change the names. They're both there. Maybe she was there and Patrick called, came back. Those types of things. Now the cell phone records may dispute that a little bit, but you have a woman who confessed to the police that she was going to kill Kelsey Barrett on at least 3 occasions. All right, 3 occasions, and the fourth, the defense theory could have been that you actually did it. I was a little surprised that they really did nothing and just simply said, we're holding the government to their burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. But the real problem in that particular case that I think the defense had was they had the jailhouse snitch who basically said, man, he wants me to, kill, Kelsey Barrett's, mother and these other witnesses. I mean, that's a problem. We talked about that just the other day about the woman that's accused of killing the state legislator down in the state of Arkansas. Now she was plotting with people to have her ex-husband and his new wife killed along with the prosecutor and judge in the case. Like, that's just bad stuff. And yes, people don't like snitches. but those kinds of situations where they can actually do that, it's just really a bad situation. So that case had a lot of troubles. He made some concerning remarks to people about basically some statements that wouldn't surprise me if she wound up dead someday. So it's just a bad thing. Yeah, the snitch, that was a big problem. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see if we have any quick last questions that we can do, and then we'll wrap this up, and then we'll be going over to our Patreon group for a little more one-on-one. We'll see how many people show up there and would like to be a part of it at all. What's going on with all the high-profile cases in Colorado? I tell him it's the altitude, lack of oxygen in the brain. Is there crime, or is it just more media coverage? I really think it's just a lot more media coverage. For people, I mean, this stuff goes on all the time. In an age where the news just spreads as quickly as possible, and it's so easy to spread, which is a good thing. An informed society is a good thing. But it's the type of deal where all this stuff went on before. It just wasn't publicized as much. And, we talked about, earlier in the program, these people, are they a little bit naive? If they're not offended by this, this doesn't happen, not where I live. And I'm telling you, it goes on all the time. If people were actually able to see the police blotter of all the crime that goes on in America, they would never come out. Okay? And think about it, you only hear about the real major stuff, the real bizarre stuff. That's all you hear about. So you just have to, take it with, like, wow, this really goes on. Yeah, it really goes on. It goes on all the time. So people, you just don't hear about it as much. And you could have, it's just scaring people from Colorado. Sorry. But it's not just here in Colorado. This stuff goes on everywhere. It's kind of scary. If people, like I said, if everybody knew about it, they wouldn't come out. So, all right. Thank you for watching. My name is Scott Reisch. Thank you very much. We have our YouTube channel, CrimeTalk, at YouTube. We have lots of videos. We talk about videos on a daily basis of true crime issues that have come up on a daily basis. We try to have videos there for you on the weekend as well, but sometimes that doesn't always happen as well. And we try to bring you the interesting cases, and we try to give you a little perspective that you would not normally get, say, for example, on the evening news. We take it not only from a defense perspective, because that's what I've done for 25 years, but we lay out the facts and the law and try to explain it to you. Hopefully we teaching you something about the law as well, which was really one of the purposes why we started the Crime Talk channel, was because it became so frustrating. It became so frustrating when people on the evening news didn't know what the heck they were talking about, the facts, the procedural aspects of the case. And so hopefully we're trying to bring that to you factually, correct, and give you the best information that we can with the information we have. And we tell you the truth, just like I tell my clients. I'm not going to lie to you. I'll give you the best information I have with the information I have. If new information comes in, I'll change. My opinion may change based upon that new information. But as I used to always tell my kids, why would I lie to you intentionally? I would not give my children bad advice. Same thing with my clients. I would not intentionally give you bad advice. Same thing with my YouTube subscribers and Facebook fan people. I would not intentionally give you bad advice or try to lead you down the wrong path. So thank you. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to jump over to the Patreon page right now, and we'll see you tomorrow on YouTube as well on Crime Talk. Have a great night.